Bitcoin is set to crash in 2026. Yes, that's right, and you're hearing it first. I'm here to tell you that now, if you have Bitcoin, potentially could be a good time to get out and acquire some more later. So why do I say this? There's a few reasons why I'm saying I believe Bitcoin is going to crash in 2026. I do have to first say that this is not financial advice and these are only my opinions. But if we look at the historical patterns of Bitcoin, it always follows generally a 4-year cycle, right? Give or take a couple months, but we're right within that 4 years. We're actually a little bit outside of it, so it's overdue, right? Another reason, we saw the prices start to go down in 2025, but there's more of an incentive to go down in 2026 because some people wanted to hold for tax reasons. So now they have the remainder of the year, roughly 11 months or so, to pay taxes, so they can strategically sell now in Q1 as opposed to Q4 or Q3 of last year. Financially, it makes more sense for them. Also, now that Bitcoin is becoming more centralized, a lot of the bigger whales who held Bitcoin for all these years are starting to sell. There's wallets that have been holding Bitcoin for 7, 8, 10, 11 years who have not sold previously and are finally selling. Because now you have financial institutions like Chase, JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, all these different players are either getting into Bitcoin or considering getting into Bitcoin. It's becoming mainstream now. I actually believe this may potentially be the last cycle as far as acquiring this upcoming cycle, right? Because it's becoming so mainstream, the crazy returns, a 10x or whatever, may not be in the cards like it was previously, right? Another thing, people are exhausted. And there's a lot of financial pressure going on right now. There's still a lot of wars going on. There's geopolitics, all these different issues that are facing us. People are struggling to pay groceries. It's not like last cycle, a couple of years ago, when people had all this extra money from, the stimulus checks and all these other things going on. People are hurting right now. So who wants to buy Bitcoin every month, right? They're like, man, I'm just trying to buy some eggs, these overpriced eggs. Gas is at an all-time high, all these type of things, right? And then if we look at the halving, if you notice when it comes to Bitcoin, there's something called a halving, and it happens every so often. And then about maybe 7 to 18 months after the halving, we'll usually get like a high price and then down, right? Another reason why I believe Bitcoin could crash in 2026 is a lot of these ETFs that have been working so hard in the background to get everything in order to be able to acquire assets are now seeing a huge amount of outflows. Actually, in the last few weeks, we've seen the largest outflows that we've seen since the ETFs for Bitcoin and Ethereum have been established. The whole crypto market is going to go down because BTC is like the main thing, right? The main leader, but then Ethereum and the other altcoins will actually follow it. You never see where Bitcoin will crash and then Ethereum is going the opposite direction. No, it's all linked together, all the different cryptos. There's currently over 50,000 different types of cryptos, but it doesn't matter because they're all going down. So you can buy Solana, you can buy Sui, you can buy Ethereum, you can buy Cardano. They're all going down, I'm telling you. In 2026, it's all going down. But with that being said, what does that mean? It's a good time to buy. So on this channel, we always talk about financial literacy, trying to get to the next level, leaving your state, relocating, how can we make passive income, how can we live abroad. This could be an opportunity for all the people who decided to click this video and dedicate these few minutes to this information. I encourage you to do your own research, but if you look at the historical patterns and the trends of what's going on, Bitcoin is set to crash in 2026. And if it's like last cycle took about 7 months because it was November and then it hit the lowest in like July. So it's not just straight down, right? It doesn't just go straight down. That's why you see that, it came up, I think today it was, yesterday it hit like 82K and now it's back at like 84K, right? It's not going to just straight go down at one time. It's going to go up, down, up, down, up, down. But generally speaking, I don't see us going past like 150 this cycle. You may have a slight uptick, a little bit more, but we are going to crash in 2026, right? And if it's like the last cycle, it took about 7 months to go to fully crash and hit the low. So with that being said, that would probably bring us to the low sometime later in this year. There's a chance it could take all the way to early 2027. I don't believe it's going to take that long. But the good thing is, once it does hit this price, we can then acquire more assets. So, like I said earlier, I believe this is maybe the last cycle before it becomes too mainstream, and then there may be other assets that could outpace the appreciation of Bitcoin. But when this hits its low, and more than likely going to be 2026, you start acquire. If you have the resources, of course, it could be a good time to buy, right? And if it's like the last cycle, after like a year, the price won't move too much, but then it will slowly start to go up. So if you're in a position financially, and I would encourage you to do whatever you can to be in that position, you can acquire BTC, right? Hold it for, 2-3 years, and then sell it, right? And that potentially could be the last cycle. Or if you want to do the long term, maybe you want to do 10-year holds. I see some people talk about they only want to do 10 years. Me personally, I'm going to do this last cycle, and then I'm going to move on to other things like stocks and stuff like that, because I just don't see Bitcoin really going crazy past like 2030, So it's just my 2 cents. But what do y'all think? Y'all think it's going to crash in 2026? Or are you still acquiring? You think it's 2027? What's your personal opinion?